So this episode is going to be a little bit different from the other episodes I've made. I'm actually going to start. Um, I'm going to actually start trying to interview more people who've had near-death experiences. I think there's a true purpose behind it, mainly for the viewers to know that we are not of this world. Um, the very things that we find important, the things that we strive to be on a day-to-day basis. I want people to understand that there's more to life than what we physically see. And I think that there are groups of people out there called near-death experiencers who have witnessed something outside of our normal reality. And this may come as a shock to people who only see the spiritual world in one way. But I'm here to bring a platform of diversity where we don't see things in just a traditional sense. So I came in contact with a guy that I've been seeing his testimonies all over YouTube. His name is Chris Botts. Really humble dude, not looking for any clout or any type of fame off this testimony. But in just 2 testimonies alone, this testimony has over 500,000 views. So a lot of people have seen his testimony. It's super intriguing, super convincing. And there's millions of other people just like Chris who's had this spectacular experience after almost dying. So when you watch this interaction that I have with Chris, I want you to notice one thing. Never once is he looking for fame. Never once is he saying things that are outside of what I would say Yeshua wants for his people. He wants everyone to be as one. He wants everyone to love each other. He wants forgiveness. So I'm saying this now, just in case there's like this doubt in your head that it's impossible for God to do miracles like the one you're about to witness in this episode. This will be the first of many more testimonies that I'm going to try to collect and put on my platform. So without further ado, Chris Botts. We are live, my man. So yeah. So I want to take the time to just thank you for, coming and chatting with me. I want to start by letting you know how I came across your content, and then we can just go from there. Really, want to keep it nice and smooth, informal. But yeah, it was like during the beginning of the pandemic, 2020, of course. Everybody home was looking on YouTube, just seeing, what's out there. And I just got on this just crazy binge of just near-death experiences for some reason. And I saw I'll say since 2020 up until now, I've viewed probably over 200 cases of near-death experiences.
Oh, there's a lot of them out there.
It's a lot of them out there, man. And the top 10, you were one of the top 10 that I was like, wow, this was powerful, bro. I was like, yeah, you were out of 200, you were on that top 10 list for me. I was like, wow, man.
That's saying a lot. Appreciate that.
Yeah. The main reason is because you don't see too many people of color or brothers that are willing to come out with their experience. Especially if you have a background in Christianity or any type of conservative background. You just don't speak of those kind of things because it sounds super spooky, or it's not what we've been traditionally taught, right? So but I think that when we just break down those kind of barriers and just realize that we're on a planet that we can't really explain the full detail of, And people like you that have experienced something that's outside of our normal existence, that's eye-opening for me. So kudos to you for, being bold to put your story out there. And also, like I said, my channel, I'm really trying to break down barriers of traditional belief systems, and get people to be willing to have tough conversations without, feeling like they have to know everything. So I want to start off. Yeah. So I want to start off with you and kind of introduce yourself, and then we can go into your story, man, because I think a lot of people need to hear it.
Well, for those that don't know, my name is Chris Batts. I'm a near-death experiencer by way of a suicide attempt. It came from depression, really, and low self-esteem as a kid. That led up to depression till I got older. That stuck with me. That led to my near-death experience.
Yeah. So let's start with I don't know, like your childhood, man. Like I know I've watched your testimony like at least 4 times. And the main reason why I do that is because I want to see if there's any variance in people's stories. So I tend to do that, like, because I know that there's going to be people out there that see that this is starting to take off. Even scientists are starting to like look into near-death experiences, because there's so many things that they can't explain. How would that person know this if they're in a coma, kind of thing? So, and even what they're saying is like similar to what like millions of people are saying at the same time. So like either this is the biggest conspiracy that people are just making up, or there's some truth behind it. And I don't think millions of people are saying the same thing if the same thing isn't happening.
I would love to get to that later too.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, like later on in this talk, because a lot of people have their doubts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny when the person's with you and you can tell them exactly what they were doing when this whole thing was happening. They're like, how did you know that?
Yeah. So that's the main thing. So like let's dig into like growing up. Let's start at the childhood, and then we'll just work our way up to the actual event that happened, and then we could take it from there. Just chatting and kind of seeing what your who's Chris Batts right now. So we'll end on what you learned from the experience, and what do you see coming of it in the future.
Okay, so long story short, my mom had some mental issues, and I didn't know that really then, but when I know now. I was 6 months old. She threw me in a dumpster. And I know this because my grandma told me. I was like 5 years old or something like that. She just broke it down to me. Your mom threw you in a dumpster. You were 6 months. She was supposed to be like starting some modeling thing going on, and she got pregnant. Whole thing changed. That's basically what it was. And I don't know, it must have been, like postpartum depression. So it must have been that, because like for 6 months, like the first 6 months, I guess was great. And then all of a sudden she just threw me in the dumpster, left, and then didn't plan to like come back basically. So neighbor found me. Neighbor was taking out their trash, found me and said, damn, like I know this baby, I know his mom. So she took me with her to her house. So she called my grandma at church. My grandma was at church because it was a Wednesday. And she told her, you know what? I got your grandson. You need to come get him now. He's in the trash can. So you know how that goes. With the court, my grandma ended up getting me till I was 4. Then my grandma had a nervous breakdown. So after that, so over time, like ventured off a couple, people here and there.
Yeah.
But I ultimately ended up with my mom's sister, who my mom would say she hated the worst. Like she didn't like her, they were mean to her and all that kind of stuff. So this is the sister I end up with. They have their own kids of their own, and basically I'm the outsider of the house. So basically I was treated differently than everybody there. I was always told negative stuff about myself. And as a child, you can't do that because, it affects a child up until they're older. They start thinking this stuff. They think they're fat. They hate the way they do everything just because of what you told them as the adult. That's what happened. A way to like release, I started cutting myself at 8. I don't know how I
Wow.
knew. I just did it, and for some reason I was like, yeah, I don't think I really like this. So then I was like 9 or 10, and I found a release, which I didn't know then were releases.
Mm.
Yeah, just I knew it made me feel better, so I started writing raps.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just so since then, that's when my music started coming. Um, Depression was still there. We went to church all the time, sometimes during the week even. So I kind of had like my own opinions of God. I didn't really have really much to depend on. Like, here's these people that treat me like this. Then here's this God that's gonna strike me down if I don't love how these people are treating me, or if I'm not
Mm.
like them.
Yeah, let's break that down real quick. So like, what kind of background as far as like the church that you went to at that time? Like, what was the environment? You know, what kind of people you encountered during that time?
Baptist Christian is what I
Mm-hmm.
was brought. I was raised on Baptist Christian, and the King James Version Bible was the only book to God, basically. Any other
Mm-hmm.
book, any other religion are gonna burn, and I've been told this by pastors.
Mm.
So a lot of the people there at these churches were a lot like some of them were like the people that I lived with. And they were like that with their kids. And I'm like, is this like the Baptist way to just beat your kids for anything? Like,
Right.
it was like, it wasn't even just more beating them. You can understand like an occasional whooping out of love or whatever,
Yeah.
because children need to be corrected from time to time.
Yeah.
But when you're just doing it for like no valid reason,
Yeah, that's abuse.
that's abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're doing it all the time, when you can count the days of the week that you didn't get beat. Like, oh, I went 2 days this week without getting beat. That when you can count that, that's bad.
Mm.
So
who were you living with during this time?
During this time, I was still with my mom's sister that she didn't like the most. So around this time, I'm like 10, 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like maybe 12 or 13. And then they found some rap lyrics I wrote in my drawer when I was visiting my grandma one day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about them. It was about all like basically how it was just basically, it was bad. I said a lot of bad things in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a child that was hurt, really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that I didn't go back. They told me to stay at my grandma's, dropped off my stuff, and that's what it was. So then there I just moved in with my grandma. So I moved in with one of my other aunts, then one of my other aunts, and these aunts weren't really much better. I had an aunt I lived with when I was 15. I will say for that year, I would say she's the best one. She was nice to me. She was nicer than they were, but it kind of just seemed like money that they got for me kind of controlled like the whole thing. It just seemed like the money just got in the way. Like they loved the money too much. They didn't pay as much attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up leaving her place to one of my other aunts. Aunts would like spit in your food, all that type stuff. Like this aunt was that kind of aunt. She was like kind of like evil like that. I don't know if I say evil now, but maybe she had some issues of her own. Yeah, so this whole thing that's how it was. So when I was with this aunt though, the depression wasn't really around because I was real popular in high school. Like I just got real popular. But after high school, my friends moved on. They had their families. They ended up doing well in life, and here I am like kind of behind, like trying to play catch up. My pride wouldn't let me like reach out and say I need help. I don't have what you have. I would just pretend like I'm on the same level as they were.
How old are you now? Like
34.
Like you're 30. Oh, I'm the same age. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you said now we at around 20 right now. So what's that like?
20.
Okay.
Okay. So my early adult years, I noticed my friends moving on with their lives. They got their support systems and all that, and that's when I noticed like I wasn't really where I wanted to be. Depression came in and it got worse than it was even before. So like this one I really wanted to just die, because then I couldn't really go to churches that seemed like they were true, because it's like the churches I went to, different religions I experienced. Like Catholic, I went to Catholic churches, I went to Pentecostal churches. There's so many churches, right? So much stuff I experienced trying to find the truth, trying to find some reason to hold on and not want to take my own life. So all these churches I'm going to, they always end up having one of the pastors that condemn you to hell, and when you find out they're the ones that are cheating on their wives with one of the members of the church. Yeah.
It's
and
still happening.
it's still yeah, it's still happening. So that's when I just gave up. I'm like, man, where can I find the truth?
Yeah.
So that's when just like whatever happens, happens. So I started like really just drinking, doing all the drugs I could. Then I got bored of that, and I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna end all this. I don't really want to do this for too much longer.
Mm.
So the depression stuff, it was bad, and so I just said I'm gonna just take my own life. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I was at their house, or I forgot arguing about what, and then I left. I leave their house, and they sort of knew I had a plan on taking my life. They just didn't know how.
Mm.
I knew how though. I was gonna go in front of a train. I knew where it was at, what time it came, so I was gonna be there like at 6:30 sharp. Boom. And then there you go, just lay down and let it just take me out. That was the plan. That's how bad it was, to the point where I was so numb. I really knew I wouldn't feel it.
Man.
Think about it now, and you're like, what the, like, yeah.
So when you were at the train, like what was going through your head at that time? Like walk me through like the thoughts that you remember. Like,
I never made it to the train because my friend, when I was leaving their house, a few blocks away, I hear their horn, they honk, and they're like, get in the car. So I'm like, damn, now my plan is kind of ruined.
Yeah.
And
that was like some divine intervention right there, for real.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was divine intervention. I couldn't have said it no better. Yeah. And out of all the moments, out of all the time, so I get in the car, she's going, and my mom, that I haven't talked to in years, calls. Out of all the times, don't know how she got my number at that exact moment. So talk about divine intervention, that's exactly what that was. I haven't talked to my mom in years, and she's like, I just called to tell you that I don't want you. Your grandma gave me your number. She said you've been asking about me. Like, stop asking about me. I don't want you. I'm not your mom.
Wow.
And she told me this when I was younger too. She told me this many times. She would tell me that when I would see her, which wasn't much, but whenever I would see her, she would tell me that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what she said during that phone call. She's like, and it just brought back all that, like all those memories or whatever, that she would say stuff like that to me. And so I just looked at the phone and said, after you never were, tossed the phone out my friend's passenger side, and they just kept going. And I don't know what came into me. I just looked at them and I mumbled under my breath. After this, I opened the door, jumped out, and then that's when I had my near-death experience.
Man, so all right, let's pause there, man. Like, so when your mom called, you threw, like, and you said what you said, hung up. Like, what were your friends doing in the front? Like, were they kind of like talking and like wasn't really paying attention to you on the phone? Was it quiet, or like what was the environment in the car?
I don't know, because it was one friend.
One friend.
They were they were the driver.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what they were even. I don't know if they were talking or not. Everything was just slow motion. I was so like out of it. I didn't really know what was going on. I just seemed like just everything was moving slow, and then I just looked and said "F this," and then just opened the car, jumped out. That's all I knew.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so once you hit the pavement, that was in the middle of like regular like in the street, or was it kind of like in the highway? Like, where was the car at that moment when you jumped out?
So I live in the city, so it's not like really a lot of freeways. There's a couple, but it wasn't on like the highway freeway. It was just on the regular like intersection street. Yeah. Because they made a right turn at the light, and then they kept going. Yeah. And I remember just opening the door, jumping out. But from where like my blood tracks were, it wasn't in the street. They were like where you would pull over to like change your tire or something, like on the side. On the shoulder, okay. Yeah, okay. Shoulder, there you go. Yeah. And you're in Cali, right? What part of Cali what part of Cali? About an hour or so south from LA. Okay. And that's where you've been like all your life, or like is that where you Okay. All right. All right, man. So like let's go ahead and get into the experience. You could take your time, kind of process like
share as much as you want. Don't share what you don't want to share. But you know, open space, vulnerable space, whatever you feel led to kind of let the people know.
Okay, so my head hit the concrete. I just remember the boom, and then this, like, I don't know if it hurt or not, because I remember thinking, like, I think that hurt. Like, I wasn't sure. And I just got up, or I was trying to get up, I thought, and I felt something kept, like, pulling me. It's like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. I wouldn't do that if I were you. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm, like, at this point, I was trying to take my life. I wasn't listening to anything, not even my own self. So I said, I'm out of here. So I started trying to walk. As soon as I, like, pulled myself up, I kind of looked down and I was like, wait, am I laying there? I'm like, no, that's true. I'm tripping. So I took like maybe 2-3 steps. I couldn't walk no more because now everything is just like in different colors, like what they call that void. And so I felt like the strongest presence that I've ever felt in my life. And it's just like going here, just everything was saying. All the thoughts I had was like answering like question by question, like in order. So it was just like, let me
reintroduce myself. Yes, I am God. Yes, I am real. Yes, angels are real.
They're a gift from me. Want to meet them?
Wow.
I didn't believe in angels then, so I said no. I didn't want to meet the angels. I thought it was like for TV or something. But that presence I felt was the strongest presence I've felt. I knew it was the ultimate, supreme God, source, whatever you want to call it. Too many names. But that's when I felt that, and I knew. So I kind of listened, and I was like, wait, I was freaking out because I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Let me go back to Earth, and then I'll come back, and then we'll be good. He's like, no, like I want you how you are now. So a lot of people have these life reviews. I did not have a life review. Mm-hmm. There's just like this projector screen, and then
I've heard about that's a common like theme with all the near-death experiences. It's almost like even if they didn't get like an actual like life review, there's some type of like scene that they see how they treated somebody and how it affected, like a ripple effect kind of thing. So
that's why I'm careful now.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead and explain that. Explain what you saw.
I just like, it was the projector screen that came up. There's a picture, not a picture, but like videos.
Yeah.
So it's like, one is like of this girl walking as a prostitute, and then he's like, I love her. And then here's this other guy with a like briefcase and a suit on and all that. It's like real business dude. He's like, I love him. He like the same way as the prostitute. Like, I love her. So then there was another dude that came with a like joint in his hand on a skateboard. And then he's like, I love him. And the way it was like, I love him was like all the people when he said I love you was the same. It wasn't like a favorite. So I kind of took that as like, oh, okay, so God has no favorites. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then here's this other one now. Here's this guy walking with his son, and he's just like grabbing him by his neck because he's angry with him. And then like in this calm voice source was like, I don't like that. And that was it. He wasn't like, he's damned and going to burn. He's just like, I don't like that. That was it.
So when you say he said this, was it like audible, or was it kind of like telepathic? What was the...
Glad you brought that up. No, let me clarify. It was definitely telepathic. Yeah. I did not see God. I did not see his face. I didn't see his body. I didn't see any of that. I felt it, like felt it here, and you hear it like here as strong as day. Like you just know. Yeah. So it was, I didn't see God, but I felt him and like heard. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. So it felt like, so it felt like the most machoist male times 1,000, but then with the love 1,000 times more than a woman.
Yeah.
It was like both like mixed in one. Like he has everything.
Yeah, that's like a mom and dad at the same time.
Right.
Wow.
After that, I felt like the way he's trying to like reintroduce himself is like, tell me his characteristics, because I just start seeing these words fly up in the air, and one of them said loving, then another one said caring, and then another one said long suffering with a lot of exclamation points at the end.
What?
I remember that word long suffering from when I was a kid and would be in church and I would hear the word long suffering. I kind of took it as a different meaning. The way I took it was long suffering as in I'll do whatever I can. I'll suffer as long as I need to, as long as until everybody knows how I love them, kind of thing. So I'm freaking out thinking like, what am I supposed to do when I go back? And that's what I asked. I'm like, what am I supposed to do when I go back? And he goes, go and tell everyone that I love them.
Oh.
That's it.
Wow.
That was it. So now I don't really have a choice about the angels and all that. There I am. They're all in front of me. The God presence isn't there. It's just literally a bunch of angels around. Now these I'm literally looking at. So this wasn't like invisible. I was looking at every angel that was around and everything. I'm in the clouds. And then there's like this big donut hole cloud. And if I would have walked over that, then I would have probably went over and never came back. So I think those angels were there to kind of convince me not to cross that hole.
So is it kind of like a wormhole looking kind of thing, or like?
No. It was just literally like a donut hole. It was just like
Okay.
And then if you just go through it, it might just like suck you in, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, like, walk me with like how you look. Like, did you feel like you had a body? Did you feel?
I don't know. I was scared. I was freaking out because there's one angel on the side, one angel on the side. They both had me by one arm, like one hand each, because I'm freaking out, trying to find a way out, like trying to find a way to run away and get out. Because from what I was taught in religion, I'm like, if I ever see anything like this, that means you guys are going to kill me. You guys are going to burn me for eternity and all that. So I was scared because I was, they say you don't experience angels and all that stuff unless you're like dead or unless you're like they're demons.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I'm telling them, and they're trying to calm me down. And they're like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Like, don't be scared. Don't be scared. So there's like a bunch of angels around, but there's just one on the side that I just paid attention to the most. Yeah. So those angels, like they're huge, really huge, like 9 feet tall. The one on my left side was more like stern and kind of like a small face kind of beetle creature thing, and the wings were really long, like really like tall. Yeah, then he looks at me and says, are you sure you want to go? And I looked and I'm scared at a 9-foot angel, so I turn around to my right, and then here's another even bigger angel like right there. Brown sandals, blue jeans, red flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. And then like short, curly, like brownish hair. And then he didn't have any facial hair.
Do you think that like how you're seeing, like you see him, do you think it's like their way of trying to relate to how a human looks to kind of disarm you kind of thing? Or like, what do you?
I think that one, I never even thought of that. Because when I looked at my left, that one was like a beetle kind of creature.
Yeah, they say angels are supposed to be scary. Yeah.
So I'm like, what? And I'm like, I don't want to see that. So when I look to my right, here's one more that looks like a human more than anything.
Yeah, and you felt more like drawn to that one because it looked familiar. Okay.
Right, he looks human-like. So I'm like, oh. But seeing his size, I got scared, and I was like, oh, he's gonna kill me worse. Yeah, he's so he's like, you have so much to do for so many people.
Yeah.
And that in the softest voice. And after that, I just felt the urge. Oh, he's right. Okay, I need to go back. What am I supposed to be doing for so many people? I didn't know. I just knew for some reason I should go back. But they told me to look down. I looked down. There's my body. There's the paramedics, all them cops or fire trucks, all these lights just around. Here's my friend I was with way far away on their phone. And that's when they told me, like, look down. So I looked down. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, this stuff really does happen. And they're like, no, look down again. You have to believe this happens. They know how I am.
You skeptical.
Had I woke up, I would have said that didn't really happen.
Yeah.
Because I need proof.
Yeah.
That was the proof when I seen my body was laying on the floor.
Wow.
And they thought I was dead. And there's my friend on their phone.
That's just to piggyback on what you're saying, man. Like every near-death experience that I have reviewed, they said that they were able to see their body. I think it was one lady that I'll never forget this one. She actually was in the hospital, and she said that she floated all the way to the top of like the roof of the hospital building, and was able to see a shoe on the top of the roof.
I know.
And when-
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. And when she was revived,
Yeah.
she's like, there's a shoe on top of the roof. They went up to the roof and they verified that it was a shoe.
Yeah.
But they said that like there's no way she could have known that because she was literally like pronounced dead for about 10 minutes. So it's like, yeah, that's wow, that's wild.
Like when they told me to look down, I look, and that's when they're like, okay, so do you want to stay or do you want to go?
So they gave you a choice, okay.
They
Yeah.
gave me a choice, and I was like, I just felt the urge to go back since you said you got a lot to do for so many people.
Yeah.
So I just said, okay, the urge in me was like, okay, I'll just go back.
Mhm.
And that's when I went back, woke up a few days later in the hospital, and they were like, oh my God, you're up. We thought you were dead.
Mm. So what did the nurses say about like your condition the whole time?
They thought I was gone. They kept calling me Miracle, and they kept saying I hemorrhaged. And I didn't even know what hemorrhage means, but they're like, oh my gosh, you hemorrhaged so many times, and we went through so many bags, and you kept throwing up green stuff.
Oh wow. And hemorrhaging is like a blood clot kind of thing, like internal bleeding or something like that?
So what I found out was hemorrhaging. It's like when your blood, it's all like just getting stuck in your like blocking. There's like nothing. I don't know like the correct way to explain it, but it's basically like a block. In other words, your hemorrhage. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the internal bleeding, man, that's almost like 100% fatal. Like, wow.
Yeah. So that's why they kept calling me Miracle the whole time.
So that all happened like in your 20s, right? Like that was like around like 21-ish or what?
Like 23, something like that. 23, 24.
Okay, you're 34 now, so of course over 10 years has passed. So, who's the Chris Bots now? Like what have we learned from that experience? How do we view like reality now after you've seen something that like crazy? Like,
I stopped being scared of death because that's one thing before I was scared to die because I didn't want to burn obviously for eternity.
yeah.
So that made my views change completely. I'm not really the biggest fan of religion. Some people, it brings them closer to source, which is good, but for me, it's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
To me, there's a lot of division in religions, so it's kind of like cults, or it's like the same thing as like a gang against this gang. It's like it's this, it's Christians versus a Catholic, and it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're all one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if there would be a religion, there would only be one religion. There shouldn't be so many books, so many, which I feel like that inner religion is like sort of that inner book is inside of us, really. Just a lot of people just don't look deep into it until like maybe they're awake or woke, and then they realize.
I mean, what you just said was basically biblical. Like, it's written on our hearts. Like, you know what I mean? So it's, I think the near-death experiencer was able to tap into something that eventually all of us are going to be able to see. Like, we tend to get too involved in our traditions. We get too like pressed about semantics and how, technically you're supposed to, baptize somebody like this, or you're supposed to believe in the Trinity, or whatever the case may be. And it's so many rules that we created.
Rules. Yes.
That we created. And, we're starting to understand like where all of this came from. And when you ask those kind of questions, or when you ask those kind of in-depth questions to leadership of churches, they don't want you to question that because it's threatening the whole thing.
Right.
So
That's to
if you,
say they make you scared to think.
hmm
It's control. I mean, it's control.
it's all control. So, I think one thing that drew me to your story was I got angry actually. I got really angry at two things. I got angry of how you were treated. Number one, you didn't. I don't think you mentioned some other things about like people picking on you and stuff like that as a kid, but also just what your mom did. But the main thing I was upset about was just how the church treated you, especially after the near death experience, and you tried to like process that. I mean, that should be the place you should be able to come to and process what happened.
Yeah, I went back. I was like, let me go back to this church and tell them what they say, like the good news, right?
Yeah.
Like the gospel, the good news. So I'm like, let me go back and tell them what I experienced. And they all gather around. They're like, I'm so sorry that happened to you, young man. We're gonna pray for you. We're gonna get those demons out of you. God would never let that happen. You're bound to hell. Stop playing with God. Stop playing with God. And that's what they would always tell me.
I'm trying to understand what is considered demonic. Like, it would be one thing for me if you came back and you wanted to, like, I don't know, like start some cult that, made people drink blood and hurt themselves or something like that. Like, everything that I've heard you say and all of, like I said, I've listened to quite a few of your testimonies, and number one, all of them checked out. You never deviated from any of the facts. Like, I never heard anything change. Like, your story has remained the same, super genuine, hasn't been like, it doesn't seem like it's been rehearsed. You just say it how it is, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't try to make it sound more spectacular. So that's,
Nah,
you know what I mean?
I'm usually not a fan of that. I like
Yeah.
being genuine.
Yeah.
And that's why I used to do YouTube videos. I didn't have many followers because it's like really I wasn't doing what a lot of YouTubers were doing to get those extra stuff. I was
Yeah.
trying to get out what I needed to, and then that's it.
That's it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you, like I said, for real, you didn't really strike me as somebody looking for fame. It was like you just, something happened and you said, hey, I gotta let it all out and let it be as it may. So that's one thing that made me feel like, okay, I can trust this testimony like many others that I've looked at. But the one thing that I've noticed that, like, you don't seem as though like you want vengeance on anybody. And like like a demonic presence to me would be like vengeful. It wouldn't be forgiving. It wouldn't be wanting people to like love each other. Like, your whole message is to spread positive love and you want to forgive people that hurt you. You can share this if you want, because I saw your most recent one about your mom.
Okay. Forgiveness is basically one of my main newest things I really need to get out. Because usually I talk about like NDEs, or I'll talk about positivity, spreading love, or even especially the most suicide prevention. That's one of the things that's close to me, suicide prevention.
Mm-hmm.
But with my mom passing away a couple months ago, it kind of made me really understand forgiveness. I thought I forgave her a long time ago, but I guess it wasn't as much as I definitely really forgave her now.
Mm-hmm.
So I like forgiveness. I think we need to really forgive people while they're still here.
Yeah.
Because like I said with my mom, I thought I forgave her.
Yeah.
But I would like, she never really, I guess I didn't forgive her enough to actually try to make it known that I forgave her,
You want to walk us through like how you found out and like what was the process of you dealing with that?
So I do a lot of Ubering after work. Like, I do Uber Eats and stuff on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was doing, just a bunch of, Ubering and stuff like that. And I get a call from a family friend. First of all, they wrote me on Facebook. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, it was a family friend. They said, this is about your mom. You need to call me or call your aunt. So I called my friend, because I didn't want to call my aunt. Haven't heard from my family in years till I had a book and long, So she called me and said, yeah, whatever you're doing, you need to stop. because I called her. She's like, I just need to tell you your mom was found on a sidewalk, and they found your mom. Those are the words she used. They found your mom. And I was like, they found her. And she said, yeah, she was on a sidewalk, which obviously with her lifestyle, she was mostly homeless.
Wow.
The sisters said they didn't really want to deal with it. So they said, well, she has a son.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when my family friend gave me the detective's number, told me to call coroners. At that exact moment, I froze for a while, and I was like, wait, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And so I was like, what? And then my first reaction was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I haven't even seen her. Like, what? And then I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to tell them to just let her go. I don't know what to do with her.
Wow. Yeah.
About 10 minutes later, I was like, I don't want nobody else doing anything but me. I'm taking her.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'll put her away. I'll make sure she's good. She'll be with me.
Wow.
So, got her cremated, and I was supposed to let her ashes go, and I didn't. I still got her.
Like your recent developments with your mom will show that this was nothing but a God type love right here, and there's no demonic thing about it. Hey, this experience changed who you are as a person, and it has nothing to do with like demon possession. This is all about transformation of an earthly perspective. Transform you, like the person that didn't want you in the beginning and threw you in a dumpster, and you decided that you still gonna honor your mom. Like what is that?
That's what my teacher I work with told me. I'm honoring her, and I didn't even know I was honoring her. I just knew that me being all spiritual like I am, I'm like, wait, I know the spiritual world. I'm like, I don't want her to like be stuck or something, or to have like a bad transition. If I can help her transition in a more good way, like I need to do that. I just felt like it was something I had to do. Then I started realizing maybe certain stuff wasn't right up here with her, and I wish I would have been cautioned of this years ago.
Yeah.
But for some reason, at that exact moment, I knew she didn't know what she did. She had a lot of ailments; those are gone. I'm helping my mom.
After that happened, right? What's life been since then?
I joke less now. Yeah, definitely joke less. A little more focused, more serious. I'm at a transition in my life, maybe, where there's something somewhere along the line I'm gonna have to do for like the spiritual world, somewhere for someone in some life, or someone I might have to speak to, or a crowd I gotta speak to. I don't know what is gonna happen, but I know whatever it is, I gotta be like focused and ready.
Yeah. And you got your book out called Boom. I'm gonna actually try to purchase that. I've heard some good stuff about that book. Why did you name it Boom?
The back, when I hit the back of my head on the concrete.
Oh wow.
Boom. And
wow. Okay.
That was in the picture on the front cover of the book. That's the exact. I took that picture because that's the exact spot that I had my near-death experience.
Wow.
So literally, the boom is like right where I heard that boom.
Wow. Okay, that's creative. I just think that your testimony to me, it's confirming. I was raised in Christianity like you, right? But I less identify as Christian. I'm more identify as just a follower of the way, or follow Yeshua.
Right.
That's where I draw the line at. And when I see that traditional religion doesn't model Yeshua, I say it's false.
Ooh.
And I think that's the majority.
Yeah.
I think that's the majority of. If we take the time to really think about how the majority of religion is created, it's all because humans disagree with each other and they made their own kingdom. And I think along the lines, they've hurt people like you. They've hurt many people that decided, hey, I forget all of this. I don't believe in anything. I would rather be by myself than to be a part of a group that wants me to burn or doesn't care about me and things like that. So I think your testimony, and like you said, like they brought you back and say, hey, you have a purpose to talk to people. Man, I saw your videos, man. One of them got over 400,000 views. One got like 180,000 views. Like the testimony from, I think it was Anthony Shanae,
Oh, Anthony Chain. Yeah.
Anthony Chain,
Yeah.
and then there was another one, I forgot his name, but it was yeah, that one had 400,000 views. I'm like, that's a lot of people that's seen this testimony. A lot of people, man. And I don't even think you expected it to reach that many people.
No, I definitely didn't. I didn't. Nah. Like even with my book, I didn't know I was gonna write a book. I just know my good friend that happened to be my editor was like, let's do it. Just write, write, write. I'm like, no, I'm not an author. I don't know a thing about this. She's like, I'm not trying to claim myself as an author. She's like, just do it.
Yeah,
That's how it came.
bro. And so you basically just like how did you, what was your writing method? You just like said what's on your, you just wrote down what happened and then she edited everything?
Just started writing everything I remembered, certain stuff she kept, and then she started turning it into chapters. And I'm like, wait, what? We have chapters?
Yeah.
And then every time I would be off work, I'm sending her audios, or if I get ideas, I'm like sending her like memos or like writing her stuff and sending it, and the whole thing just sort of like came together.
Like how you explain that, man, it almost sounds similar to me, like sitting in my living room, right? And I just had like just YouTube. I like to put on YouTube and put like a 4K like nature on YouTube, and then just sit and just like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And randomly it just came to
I
me.
use music, but
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I randomly like just started thinking like I'm just gonna just write like stuff down, like my thoughts or journal or whatever. And then randomly the idea came to me, hey, you need to just learn how to put this into like a visual, or like learn how to edit videos or whatever. I had no clue on how to edit videos. I had like
Relate.
I didn't even have Final Cut Pro at the time, but a good friend of mine just knew that like I was passionate about trying to do this, and he just purchased the Final Cut Pro, and I have it on my software, and I just learned over time how to edit videos. And I would make like my journal entries into like I purchased like a subscription for stock footage, and I would record myself doing my journal entries and like narrate it with the visuals. And over time, it just got better and better and better with video editing. But I always think about how it started. I literally just journaled, but the thought came to me to say, hey, just keep going and put it out there. So okay, so I had chatted with you on Instagram about ions, right? And usually that it costs a pretty penny sometimes, but like what is your like kind of introduce what ions is, and you know what the conference is about and all that kind of stuff.
So IONS International Association Near Death Studies. Here I am plugging them, and I'm not even going to their conference shit here. But so International Association Near Death Studies, they are a group nonprofit that they deal with near death experiences, and they come together. They try to get the word out there about spiritual world, and for some people that may be lost and they don't know where to go, and they hear all these near death experiences, and they have a lot of different organizations around the world. Actually, they do, and each year they have this conference to where people, instead of the podcast, or they actually have an in-person conference where all these people come from all over the world to tell their near-death experiences. And a lot of other people that are into NDEs, they come and listen, and they literally pay for tickets to come and do this, and it's for a few days. And you know, certain people have rooms at different times, and then they have a lunch together. Then they have like a
is the food
like
included? Or?
Well, no, not really.
No, not included.
If you're a speaker, I'm not going to even lie. If I'm a speaker or something, they'll give you like coupons or something like that. Or some of the people there, just like last year when I went, they had some people that really came through, and they helped me out with money, like to help me eat and all that stuff, because they knew I was speaking.
Yeah.
They did want their speakers to be appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like if you need like I need like some people might need help with transportation or something like that. Some people share rooms in the hotels that they stay at. So
Mm.
it just really depends. But they do try to go out of their way and help. Because I spoken for them a lot already, so I think I've done my thing already.
Yeah.
I'd rather like let the next
Next note.
person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually looked at a couple of videos. Not actually more than a couple of videos there, but like it kind of allowed me to see like the speaker, and then I would like follow them on their own channels and get like a better insight to
Right,
what
right.
happened. My other favorite one was Dr. Mary Neal.
Okay.
Yeah, her, and there was another dude named Peter
Panagore.
Panagore.
That's
Yep.
my big brother.
Yeah. I really liked his
Yeah.
story too. And he was so like his story, man, it was almost like every time he explains it, it's like he's there again. It's like his
Yes.
illustrations, he
Mhm.
finds words
He
that
takes you there.
yeah, he finds words that normal people can't really articulate to like
Yes.
bring that image alive. Like it's like wow, like
Before I went to speak at my last conference, I went up to Peter and I was like, he just looks at me and he was like, "Hey, it's gonna come out. Just ask yourself, it's gonna be okay." And he's all like, "Ask yourself, why are you here?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Okay." Then he's like, "When you get nervous, just ask yourself, why are you here?" And I thought about what he said, and that helped me a lot through the last talk I did.
I mean, I definitely just want to get more people to interview them and get this word out. Like,
I got a lot of people.
Yeah, because I definitely want to get those contacts from you, man. And I'm really passionate about this because like when we don't know what we're living for, then we're just existing. And I think that
Yep.
I think that like people with these experiences, we got to stop looking at them like, oh, they're crazy or this was an hallucination. You know what I mean? Like it's and it's starting to be a scientific fact now. That's the thing that's amazing about this. Like years ago, like maybe like 40, 50 years ago, if someone said they had a near death, they didn't even have a word for near death experience back then. But now it's coming to a point where they're seeing this is like a tidal wave of information, and now it's worth studying. So for me, it's like, okay, we have millions of people saying similar and almost the same, like basically the same like kind of scenario with variations based off of their culture and all that kind of stuff. But the ultimate thing that is being shown is that when they come back, they realize that money don't matter. They realize all that matters is love, forgiveness, and wanting to just help other people grow on their spiritual journey
And becoming better.
and coming
That's
better.
the thing too. Becoming better.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, all walks of life, all walks of faith. It's they come back like atheists come back and realize, oh wow, I really messed this up. Like the Dr. Mary Neal, she was a doctor, like an atheist, and came back and completely changed her whole mindset of who God is, the creation, everything. So I don't know, man. I just think that this is worth like pursuing and studying because the more and more people know about it, I also want to see more people of color that had these experiences to come out and say something, because we can't be afraid of what like our Baptists or whatever denominations are going to say about our experiences.
And that's why I responded. I know it took a minute too. That's why I responded to you, because I was
Yeah.
like, wait, because I'm kind of real, especially now, kind of selective of who I'm doing interviews with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I saw yours and I was like, okay, you know what? I gotta do this. I gotta
Yeah.
do it. I gotta do it. I love this.
Yeah.
Like my own
Yeah.
people. I love like especially help my people. I don't really see many people like.
Yeah.
Well, I see a few now. It's a little more popular now, but years ago I didn't see many people of color, but now
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, bro, like, I am trying to like make as many connections as possible, get people's voices out there, because it's too many stories to just like limit it to just one platform. Like I feel like these stories, like the more and more people who make platforms to give you all voices to explain what you saw, I think that's going to encourage more people. It's like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I think there's more people that are just scared to say anything.
Until they see someone, and then they'll be like, oh, all these years. You ever stop like at a freeway or something, and you see a homeless person?
Yeah, yeah.
There might be like cars, like I'm not gonna be the first one. Then you might see a car actually roll down the window and like give them $1. They take off. Then the next person will roll down their window and give them $1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they got to see that first person to do it, then they'll try to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So if it was before we end, what's kind of like the one thing you want to say to everybody as far as like how you see the world and what you want people to take from this whole thing?
Love, forgive, and love yourself.
Yeah.
And I would say be your best self. So that's basically my only message, really.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. Yeah, man, like I got your contact information. I definitely one of these days, man, I think I want to link up with you, man. I want to stay in touch.
I was thinking that too. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
So you say you stay in Cali, right? So
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in Annapolis, Maryland.
Okay.
So it's like 30-ish minutes away from DC, Washington DC.
Oh, so you're gonna be right by the conference this year.
Yeah, because it's gonna be it's not technically in DC, it's in Arlington, Virginia, which is like a part of the metropolitan area. So it's like maybe like 15 minutes away from DC. So it's yeah. So that's why I was kind of thinking about going, because I was like, okay, I may not do the whole 4-day experience, but maybe I could do maybe a 1-day or 2-day kind of thing and kind of check it out, since it's in, you know, saying it's in the neighborhood.
I don't know, I may volunteer or something like that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure, man. And yeah, definitely stay in touch. And I definitely want to link up one of these days and you know, really chop it up off camera and, you know, see what's good from there.
Right. Same. I appreciate it.
All right, man. You stay blessed.
Man, you too.